rise and shout. It's time for What's Trending.
You're talking about it, and so are we. It's What's Trending on BYU Sports Nation.
What's Trending, presented by Bodyguards, protection for a life worth living. Learn more at bodyguards.com. It is time for the Rankings Roundup. The ESPN Post-Spring College Football Top 25 has BYU listed at number 19, and ESPN is not alone in listing BYU as a preseason Top 25 team. Let's recap. Bill Connolly's SP Plus rankings have BYU at number 23. Pro Football Focus has BYU at number 19. CBS Sports lists BYU at number 22, and RJ Young of Fox Sports really likes the Cougars at number 16. Okay, a top 25 ranking in the preseason for BYU would be a solid nod. But let's take it one step further, Jarom. Will BYU begin the season as a top 20 team in college football?
I'm not sure. I think 20 to 25 is BYU fits in there somewhere. And it's pretty rare to be ranked in the preseason AP top 25, which brings us to a stat of the day.
It's the BYU Sports Nation stat of the day.
Last 25 years, going back to 97, BYU's been preseason AP top 25 3 times.
3 times?
97, coming off the Cotton Bowl. 08, coming off 07, 11, 2. And 09, coming off 11 and 2. Or 10 and 3. Going into 09. Okay, now...
Rare territory.
Yeah, and typically, like, the formula's not complex. You win 10-plus games, you return your quarterback. Typically, you got a good shot at that. So, looking at those. In 96, the next year, BYU didn't return its quarterback, but was ranked 19th going into the season. Okay,
because they finished so high.
14
number
and 1.
5.
Sark graduates, Kevin Federickson.
It was Paul Shoemaker and Dustin Johnston leading the charge.
So, yes. Okay, you go to 07, 11 and 2. You return Max Hall. You're ranked 16th that next year. That made sense. 08, 10 and 3 going into 09. You're ranked 20th going into that year. You return Max Hall. That makes sense. But BYU has won double-digit games and not been ranked, right? But even returning the quarterback. But that formula, basically 2 of the last 5 times BYU's won 10-plus and returned the quarterback, they've been ranked preseason top 25. So just 40% of the time. It's not a gimme. I do expect, though, with Jaron Hall and 10-plus wins from last year, that BYU will be ranked in the top 25. Now, to your question of top 20, I'm not sure that BYU is going to get the love to be inside the top 20, but that would be fun.
You're not buying RJ Young at number 16?
No. But I think if BYU beats UCF and Baylor, they're inside the top 20 at that point for sure.
What's really exciting about this is the point that you brought up. It just doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, crazy, right?
I'll go ahead and add some more context to the history of BYU being a preseason top 25 team. It's only happened 11 times ever in the AP preseason top 25. I couldn't believe that. In fact, you said it, and then I had to go and research it myself because I didn't believe it. I was like, only 11 times all the way through the Lavelle Edwards era and all of those great quarterbacks in the 80s. Only 11 times ever BYU's been an AP preseason top 25 team. So
crazy.
That's worth something. It says a lot about the writers and the media, if they put BYU in the top 25, what they think of the Cougars.
Yes.
My expectation is somewhere around 23 to 25. I think BYU will be a preseason top 25 team. You don't beat 6 Power 5 teams in 7 games and go 5-0 against the Pac-12 and not get some type of credit, especially when, as you pointed out, you bring back Jaron Hall and the majority of your offense. Mm-hmm. I know you lose Tyler Algier, but the quarterback is by far the most important piece
for sure.
when you are rating a team as they go into a new season. So, I love it. I love that BYU is even in the conversation. I do not expect BYU to be a top 20 team. But what's exciting about this is if BYU, let's say they dominate USF, and then they come home and they beat Baylor, and they're 2-0, now they are with RJ Young up around number 16 or number 17.
Totally. Absolutely. I just looked up, the Mighty Utes, how many preseason polls they've been in. 5 ever.
It's hard to do.
This will be the 6th. And 3 of those have been the last 3 years, by the way. So prior to 2019, it was twice ever preseason. It's just, even if you're in a Power 5 league, like it took them 8 years to get ranked preseason. So yeah, it's hard. You got to be highly respected. obviously, you'll see some of the teams that are super overrated in there a bunch. Like UCLA will somehow sneak in at like 24 every year.
Notre Dame will be in the top 10 for sure.
Notre Dame's always way up there. Granted, Notre Dame's a really good team. They just don't win any big games. That's the issue with Notre Dame. But, yeah, they're on another level. I hope that BYU can be in the games that Notre Dame's losing. Does that make sense? Like, I would love for one of those one day. But, yeah, this team is in place to be a top 25 preseason team. In fact, if they're not, I'll be surprised and a little bit upset. Granted, it doesn't matter all that much. Like,
but they lost to UAB.
Yeah, it's a tradition unlike any other, you guys. Come on, man. Which is hilarious. That whole thing was so awesome. Like, we're here to have some fun, okay? We don't take ourselves overly seriously. That was when you went to the Masters. That was the home of we take ourselves seriously. You know, people. But like, we're just here to have a good time. And BYU football is going to have a really good season. It's going to be a really fun ride. I might be the most excited about this season as I've been in a long time. I don't even know back maybe 09 okay, BYU prove they can hang. Hopefully the running game can have some like 3/4 of what it was last year or something, right?
We spoke with Tyler Algier yesterday. In fact, we have a conversation with Tyler Algier coming up on BYU Sports Nation tomorrow. He gave
And by the way, Colin Chandler joining the show.
Fantastic Friday show.
We're back on TV tomorrow.
Tyler gave the nod to Christopher Brooks. Said he's really good. I like what he's going to be able to do.
Gave him his running back blessing.
Yes, he gave him the running back. He bestowed the running back blessing.
Yes, and the schedule's set up to where if BYU is really good, and we think they are, that they have a chance to really prove themselves in the regular season and do some damage. Like, what does that mean? Does that mean they're going to compete for a New Year's Six? Like, I'm not so sure. I think 2 losses are in there, and you're out of the New Year's Six mix at that point probably, like we found out last year. But that doesn't mean it's not going to be fun. And preseason, BYU is going to get some hype. We'll be in the magazines. Jaron Hall will be talked about quite a bit.
It'll be all over the regional covers of said college football preseason magazines.
This is the kind of season that we're hoping BYU can maintain and have in the Big 12, and it feels like BYU turned a corner. They re-upped with Kalani Sitake. Puka Nacua is going to be a 1,000-yard guy. They're getting Power 5 transfers to come in and have an impact. Like, things are going now. Like, this is a very exciting time in BYU football history.
Think about this. In 100 years of BYU football, and even in the modern era, so we'll send it back to 1972 when LaVell Edwards took over.
Yeah.
So in the last 50 years.
It's 50 years ago modern.
Well, he modernized the game.
Like 92 to now feels modern.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the last 50 years, BYU has, only been ranked in the preseason top 25 11 times. So that's 20% of the time. So
rare.
For only the 12th time, we're hoping that they are in the top 25.
And 8 of what'd you say? 11 times? So 8 of the first 25 years, yes. It's only 3 of the last 25.
3.
It's 3 of the last 28, actually. So it's like, this would be it's an accomplishment. It's a moral victory. It's a nice nod. It's respect to the program. Again, I would rather be ranked in the final AP poll than the preseason AP poll, but I would like both as well. Remember,
BYU's been ranked in the final season polls in the AP in the last 2 years.
Yes,
which is great.
Which is awesome.
And that ended a 12-year streak, right, or an 11-year streak?
Yes, that's great. And remember, BYU's greatest season ever. It was not ranked in the preseason poll. Okay? 84, BYU was not a ranked team going in.
And they weren't in 1996 either.
Right? I'm not saying BYU is going to have that kind of season. I'm just saying it doesn't mean everything, but it's something if you're in the preseason poll. It's cool.
It's if BYU beats South Florida, depending on where they are, and we think they'll be somewhere between
BYU better beat
25K.
Let's say win.
So they dominate when they beat South Florida.
Yeah.
They might be a top 20 team, depending on where they show up
sneak
and
in.
What happens in the first week of college football.
UCLA will lose week 1, probably.
That would be awesome. BYU as a top 20 team coming home to host probably a top 25 Baylor. That's a fun early season matchup.
Yes. I think that's great. Like, yeah, and you think about the last home opener as an independent is against a Big 12 team. That's really fun.
Big 12 preview.
SEC coming to town for just a handful of times, right? That SEC has come.
And Mississippi State has been here twice.
Are they the only ones? I'm trying to remember that have ever come to Provo.
Only SEC team that has visited.
There's not
Provo.
too many if there's any more. I remember when they came, it was a big deal. I think we were saying like this is just the second time ever or something.
Listen, I'm going to look that up right now.
Now?
While we remind everyone that first game against South Florida happens in how many days?
Countdown to the Bulls.
135.
135 days away. BYU opens the college football season.
Yep.
Probably as a top 25 team for just a 12th time ever in program history.
Yep.
Against the Bulls at Raymond James Stadium.
Now, we heard that Bull sound. Is that also like an Aggie sound? Like, because they're also coming to Provo this year? Are we also counting down to that?
I have no idea. Okay.
I'm looking up what you're looking
Here we go.
at
Here
on
we go.
Sharp Sports, right?
In Provo, okay, at BYU, Mississippi State in 2000. At BYU, Mississippi State in 2016.
That's it.
That's the only
That's
SEC team that's ever visited Provo.
So
They've done it twice.
It's the second SEC team ever.
BYU's only played 10 games all time against SEC teams.
This is a big deal to have Arkansas in town.
Yeah. That's why BYU's returning the favor in 2023, even though we don't want the schedule to be even harder.
Yeah.
BYU's returning the favor so that they could keep that series with Arkansas, because it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's one you want to keep as a kind of a primary non-conference game. Now, will BYU add Utah as well and play 10 or 11 Power 5 games? I
know you love that.
You're just asking for 7.
I know you love it.
a good
you love it.
7-win season. Hopefully more. But when Texas joins the SEC, are we going to count the 2013 and 14 wins over SEC competition?
Can we do that retroactively?
We shouldn't, but we might.
You typically count it for a win in the conference that the team is in at the time you beat them.
And yes, 100%. I'm mostly kidding.
No, let's just make it convenient to whatever we want it to
Whatever the narrative is.
Isn't that what our society is about? Let's just make it convenient for the situation now.
Listen, we're at BYU. Whatever narrative we want to spin on this, we'll just do it because this is our show.
Our question of the day, will BYU football begin the season not just as a top 25 team, but as an AP preseason top 20 team? Why
there.
or why not? Let's go to Voice of the Nation.
This is the Voice of the Nation on BYU Sports Nation.
First response in from at Sapporo Mohan, or is it Mochan? I don't know. Nope. BYU is the Rodney Dangerfield of college football.
No, don't get no respect.
I get no respect. Redman Lion on Instagram says,
Hey,
no.
Look at us with gifts on the air. I like this.
I get no respect.
No respect.
Redman Lion on Instagram says, no, rankings are earned. BYU has to show doubters who they are.
Yeah, they were earned from last year.
That's the thing. You return everybody but Tyler Algier, and you won 6 Power 5 games, and you got your quarterback.
Do you return the QB? Did you win 10+? Do you have program prestige? Because, App State could win 12, and they might not actually be in the preseason bowl. You know what I mean?
Is Coastal Carolina in the preseason top 25? Nope.
I think they were last year, though.
They blew it late in the season.
Yeah.
And I was really happy to watch that happen. Am I petty and vindictive a little bit about that experience?
We all
still?
are, dude. We all are with Coastal.
Absolutely, I am. Shout out to Conway, South Carolina. I hope you're having a great day.
It's probably amazing weather today.
# BYUSN on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Coming